Commander Zexthara's four eyes dilated in horror as she watched the human female named Anna casually dismantle the quantum flux capacitor with nothing more than a multi-tool and what appeared to be unbridled curiosity. The Vorac had spent 3 centuries perfecting that particular component, and here this primitive bipedal creature was treating it like a children's toy. Fascinating, Anna muttered, her brown eyes gleaming as she peered into the crystalline core. Helen, come look at this. The quantum entanglement matrix is using a helical configuration instead of the standard cubic lattice we theorized. Helen, the other human engineer, bounded over with an enthusiasm that made Zexithera's secondary stomachs churn. These humans had been aboard the Vorac research vessel for less than 6 rotations, supposedly as part of a cultural exchange program. The Galactic Council had insisted that humanity deserved a chance to prove themselves worthy of advanced technology. Despite their obvious technological inferiority, Zexithera had agreed to the arrangement with smug confidence. The warp drive components were hidden throughout the ship, disguised as mundane systems. Even if the humans somehow identified them, the technology was millennia beyond their comprehension. Or so she had believed. "Oh wow," Helen breathed, kneeling beside Anna. "Look at how they've integrated the subspace field generators directly into the hull plating. That's actually brilliant. It eliminates the need for external projectors entirely." "Wait," Anna said, her fingers tracing along a conduit that Zexthara had been certain was perfectly camouflaged as a waste disposal system. "This isn't waste management at all, is it? This is feeding directly into the primary power coupling." Zexithara's translator struggled with the rapid-fire human speech as the 2 women began following cable runs and energy patterns throughout the ship with terrifying efficiency. Within 2 rotations, they had identified every single hidden warp component. "Commander," Anna approached her with that unsettling human smile. "We know what you've been hiding. Your warp technology is extraordinary, but we have some questions." "I don't know what you're referring to," Zexithera replied stiffly, her tail twitching in agitation. Helen appeared at Anna's shoulder, holding what looked like hastily scrawled calculations. "The quantum field harmonics you're using should create massive gravitational shear along the ship's axis. How do you compensate for that?" Zexithera blinked all 4 eyes in succession. That was actually a very sophisticated question. One that had taken Vorac scientists decades to solve. "We employ dampening fields," she admitted grudgingly. "But dampening fields would reduce efficiency by at least 40%, Anna countered. "There has to be a more elegant solution." Before Zexithera could respond, the 2 humans had already begun sketching modifications on their portable devices. They worked with a speed and intuition that defied logic, building upon millennia of Vorac research as if it were basic arithmetic. "What if we modified the quantum entanglement frequency here?" Helen pointed to a section of the drive core, "and created a resonance cascade with the subspace field generators." Anna's eyes lit up. "That could work, but you'd need to recalibrate the entire harmonic matrix to prevent cascade failure." "Not necessarily," Helen grinned. "Watch this." What followed was 40 minutes of the most terrifying display of engineering prowess Zexithera had ever witnessed. The 2 humans, working with tools that barely qualified as technological by galactic standards, completely redesigned 3,000 years of Vorac warp technology. They didn't just understand it, they improved it. "There," Anna announced, wiping her hands on her coveralls. "Theoretical efficiency should now be around 94%. Up from your original 68%. And we've eliminated the gravitational shear problem entirely." Helen nodded proudly. "Plus, the new configuration should reduce subspace distortion by approximately 30%. Better for the environment and all that." Zexithera stared at the modified warp core, her translator working overtime to process the technical readouts. According to her instruments, the humans were correct. They had just revolutionized Vorac technology using spare parts and what appeared to be creative thinking. "How?" she whispered. Anna shrugged. "We've been dealing with similar problems in our own research. Humans have been trying to crack faster than light travel for decades. We might not have your advanced materials or power sources, but we've gotten pretty good at theoretical physics. Your people were researching warp technology? Zexathara asked, her voice climbing several octaves. Oh, sure, Helen said casually. We've got thousands of scientists working on various approaches. Alcubierre drives, quantum tunneling, dimensional folding, you name it. Most of it is still theoretical, but the math is solid. Zexathara felt her world tilting. The Galactic Council had classified humans as a barely spacefaring species, primitive tool users who had only just achieved basic interstellar capability. Yet here were two of them, casually discussing advanced physics concepts that most galactic civilizations took millennia to develop. Your improvements, she managed to say, they're significant. Anna beamed. Thanks. Though honestly, once we figured out your base approach, the modifications were pretty obvious. Humans are really good at taking existing ideas and making them better. It's kind of our thing. We built our entire civilization on it, Helen added, cheerfully. Someone invents the wheel, we make it rubber. Someone discovers fire, we build rockets. Someone creates basic warp technology. We rebuild it from scratch with better efficiency ratings. Anna finished with a grin. As the two humans began discussing potential applications for their improved warp design, Zexathara quietly activated her emergency communication system. The Galactic Council needed to know what they were dealing with. Humanity wasn't a primitive species climbing toward technological advancement. They were problem solvers, innovators who could take any technology, no matter how advanced, and find ways to improve it. They didn't just learn, they revolutionized. The Vorac had spent 3 centuries perfecting their warp technology. 2 humans had just made it obsolete in under a day. As she watched Anna and Helen cheerfully cataloging their modifications, Zexathara realized that the galaxy was about to become a very different place. Humanity had just announced itself, not as a species seeking to catch up, but as one ready to lead the way forward. The age of human innovation had begun.